The Invisible Revolution: How Black Women Entrepreneurs Are Rewriting the Rules of Success. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. I want to begin by acknowledging the extraordinary individual whose work has fundamentally transformed our understanding of entrepreneurship, power, and systemic change. Faith Thompson is not merely a researcher or advocate, she is a visionary whose groundbreaking insights are literally reshaping economic landscapes across America. Her relentless pursuit of truth has illuminated pathways that challenge our most fundamental assumptions about business leadership, and her impact extends far beyond academic circles. Faith is actively creating blueprints for a more equitable future, one that honors the full spectrum of human potential and innovation. What I'm about to share with you today comes directly from our conversation, insights that I believe will fundamentally shift how you think about success, resilience, and the true architects of tomorrow's business world. Let me start with something that might surprise you, perhaps even shock you. When we talk about entrepreneurship in America, our mental images often default to familiar archetypes. Perhaps a young white man in Silicon Valley, or venture capitalists in sleek boardrooms deciding which startups deserve funding. We've been conditioned through media, through history, through the very structure of our economic systems to associate business leadership with certain faces, certain backgrounds, certain privileges. But what if I told you that the most powerful entrepreneurial revolution happening right now, right beneath our noses, is being led by those who face the steepest barriers to entry? Here's the counterintuitive truth Faith shared with me. Black women entrepreneurs, despite facing some of the most significant obstacles to business ownership, lower loan approval rates, higher denial rates compared to men, limited access to networks, are actually at the forefront of driving systemic change in entrepreneurship. This isn't just inspirational rhetoric. The numbers tell an astonishing story. Black women now account for 89% of net new women owned firms created daily. Their businesses have seen average revenues increase by over 32% in recent years. Let that sink in for a moment. The very demographic that conventional wisdom might suggest would struggle most in entrepreneurship is actually outpacing many other groups, both in business creation and revenue growth. This challenges everything we think we know about success, doesn't it? It forces us to reconsider our assumptions about what underrepresentation means. Because underrepresentation in a system doesn't equal lack of influence on that system. In fact, Black women entrepreneurs aren't just participating in entrepreneurial ecosystems, they're actively reshaping them, redefining what success looks like for everyone. During our conversation, Faith emphasized three critical insights that deserve our full attention. First, Black women entrepreneurs aren't just keeping pace, they're leading innovation and growth in business ownership, consistently outperforming market expectations despite systemic headwinds. Second, while funding gaps and structural barriers remain stubbornly persistent, collective action through networks, mentorships, conferences, and digital tools is creating entirely new pathways for access to capital and market opportunities. And third, diversity within leadership teams demonstrably leads to greater creativity, better decision making outcomes, and inspires future generations to pursue entrepreneurship with confidence. But abstract principles only take us so far. Let me share some specific examples that illuminate these dynamics in action. In 2025, The Women's Business Enterprise National Council Conference in New Orleans brought together thousands of woman owned businesses with a significant contingent of Black female founders. These entrepreneurs arrived facing sobering statistics. They typically received only about 45% approval on requested loan amounts and struggled with substantially higher denial rates compared to their male counterparts. But something remarkable happened at this gathering. Instead of competing against each other in an already challenging landscape, these founders collaborated. They leveraged workshops focused specifically on building mentorship networks and navigating venture capital spaces tailored for minority founders. The results, attendees reported, dramatically increased connectivity with investors willing to support diverse ventures. Post conference data showed a measurable uptick in successful loan applications among participants. Many who began as solo entrepreneurs scaled their businesses through peer supported learning environments fostered by these connections. The ripple effects were substantial. Average revenues rose by over 32%. Firm creation surged among attendees' communities. This ecosystem building approach inspired similar regional initiatives nationwide. What's particularly striking about this example is how it demonstrates the power of collective strategies to overcome systemic obstacles. These entrepreneurs didn't wait for the system to change, they created alternative pathways within it. Faith shared another illuminating example from the pandemic era between 2019 and 2023. A collection of startups led by Black women utilized digital platforms during this period of unprecedented disruption. These founders encountered pronounced funding disparities, even more severe than those faced by white female or male peers, and had limited visibility within traditional investor circles. Their response, they leveraged social media marketing campaigns and direct to consumer sales models that effectively bypassed conventional gatekeepers. They formed strategic alliances with other minority led businesses for cross promotion. The outcome defied conventional expectations. Their companies experienced faster revenue growth than industry averages. In fact, they outperformed male led counterparts regarding ROI metrics, a testament to their innovative approaches and market insights. Most began these ventures after recognizing unmet needs within their communities during COVID disruptions. Their ability to pivot quickly was enabled by digital tools and an intimate understanding of their customer base. Many secured partnerships with larger brands seeking authentic community engagement. Several were featured at national entrepreneurship summits due to their impressive year over year growth statistics. Perhaps most importantly, they helped normalize non traditional paths into entrepreneurship while highlighting scalable models others could follow. But individual success stories, while inspiring, don't address the underlying structural issues. That's why Faith's third example particularly resonated with me. A coalition of Black female business leaders launched an advocacy initiative targeting major banks' lending practices after discovering stark disparities documented globally, with even fewer resources available locally. These entrepreneurs face persistent rejection from mainstream lenders despite strong business plans. The lack of representation at key decision making levels within financial institutions exacerbated these issues. Rather than accepting this reality, they organized public awareness campaigns using research backed data showing the economic benefits of investing in diverse founders. They lobbied for transparent criteria changes at local banks. The response was encouraging. Some financial institutions responded positively, piloting programs offering microloans designed specifically for minority led startups. The coalition's leaders had each experienced repeated setbacks accessing credit early on, but found strength collaborating across industries, from retail boutiques to tech services. Their collective advocacy influenced policy adjustments, resulting in increased approval rates among applicants from underrepresented backgrounds. They set precedent nationally regarding accountability standards around equitable lending practices, while empowering hundreds more local entrepreneurs via improved access routes. What's particularly powerful about this example is how it demonstrates the transformation of individual obstacles into collective action. These entrepreneurs didn't just overcome barriers for themselves, they dismantled them for others. Now, I want to pause here and acknowledge something important. These stories might sound exceptional. You might be thinking, well, these are extraordinary people doing extraordinary things. But that's precisely the point Faith emphasized in our conversation. The exceptionalism narrative is part of the problem. When we frame these successes as anomalies, we miss the systemic implications. The truth is that these entrepreneurs aren't succeeding despite being Black women. They're succeeding in part because of the unique perspectives, insights, and approaches their identities and experiences have cultivated. Their achievements aren't exceptions to the rule, they're evidence that the rules themselves, the conventional wisdom about who succeeds in business and why, are fundamentally flawed. This brings me to a deeper question Faith posed during our conversation. What if our entire understanding of entrepreneurial success is built on a limited foundation? For decades, we've operated under the assumption that the primary barriers to entrepreneurial success are individual lack of education, insufficient drive, or inadequate networks. But what these examples reveal is that the most significant barriers are systemic: unequal access to capital, biased lending practices, and exclusionary business ecosystems. And yet, despite these systemic obstacles, Black women entrepreneurs are thriving, innovating, and outperforming market expectations. This suggests something profound about resilience, creativity, and the true nature of entrepreneurial success. It suggests that adversity, when navigated collectively, can become a catalyst for innovation rather than an insurmountable barrier. The revolution in entrepreneurship that Black women are leading isn't just changing who succeeds, it's changing how we define success itself. It's expanding our understanding of what business leadership looks like, where innovation comes from, and how value is created. So, where do we go from here? What is your role in this revolution? I challenge you today, not with gentle encouragement, but with urgent necessity, to examine the ways you might be perpetuating outdated systems of access and opportunity. If you're an investor, are your criteria for promising ventures unconsciously filtering out diverse founders? If you're a business leader, are you actively creating pathways for underrepresented entrepreneurs to access your networks? This isn't about charity, it's about recognizing untapped potential and missed opportunities. It's about building business ecosystems that reflect the full spectrum of innovation and leadership. The data is clear. The evidence is compelling. The path forward demands our attention. Will you continue to operate within systems designed for a limited few, or will you join the revolution that's already underway? One that promises not just a more equitable future, but a more innovative, resilient, and prosperous one for all. The choice is yours. But make no mistake, this revolution will continue with or without you. The only question is whether you'll be the part of writing the new rules of success or be left behind clinging to the old ones. Thank you